Hi. So you're thinking about buying a home in Tulsa. That's great. I am Brandy Fugate, and I'm the lead agent with the EXP private label team here in Tulsa, and I'd like to talk to you about the process. Let's dig in. It's important to know what's going on in the market that you are considering buying in. And I got to tell you right now, it's kind of a crazy time in the Tulsa market. Our inventory is actually down 65% year over year, which is a lot. There's just not as many homes on the market for sale, but our sales are really strong. Our sales have not gone down at all. And what that's done is it's created an imbalance between supply and demand, meaning that it's a seller's market. Homes are selling under multiple offers, a lot of times for more than what the seller is asking. And they're getting really aggressive terms from the buyers because the buyers are having to compete with one another. It's a tough time to be a buyer, but it's not impossible. My team and I, we sell about $40 million in real estate transactions a year in the greater Tulsa area. So we've got some great strategies and tips, and I'd like to dig into those now. And if you'd like a virtual copy of this, just let us know, and I'm happy to share um, a copy of it with you. This is just a little bit about our team. Again, I said we sell about 40 million a year. We've been featured in various different magazines. I am a Tulsa Top 100, and I don't say that to brag, but I just say that to reiterate that we know what we're doing. We're going to take good care of you. We've got your back. Tulsa Top 100 is the list of the top 100 agents in our market. We have over 6,000 realtors in our market, so I feel very honored to be in the Tulsa Top 100. I'll sell about 20 million a year, about 100 units this year. So this is what I do every day, all day. Like I said, I'm the lead agent on the team, and then this is our entire team. We have some great local realtors that work with my husband Troy and I here in our market, and we support them in every way. Let's go ahead and go into the home buying process. So the first step is to decide that you want to buy a home. And then the next step is to pick a real estate agent. That's why we're here. Then to get pre-approved, then to find the right home and make an offer on that home, negotiate the terms of that offer, and then go to inspections and appraisal, final loan approval, and then finally you get the keys. We go to closing day. How to choose the right buyer's agent to represent you. The number one reason to choose a buyer's agent to represent you is we're free. In a residential real estate transaction, it's customary for the seller to pay the commission not only for their agent, the listing agent, but also for your agent, the buyer's agent. And that's where we come in. Each agent works on behalf of our client to represent their best interest and negotiate the best terms for our client. As your buyer's agent, we'll hold your hand throughout the entire process from the very first showing all the way through getting the keys and getting moved in. What does your buyer's agent do for you? We help you choose the right lender based upon your circumstances. Not everyone is sitting on 20% down. And if that's not you, hey, guess what? That's most people. So we can help you find the right lender based upon your needs. We'll also help you find the right home inspector, the right homeowner's insurance company. If you decide to buy a home warranty, we'll help you pick the home warranty provider that's the right fit for you and your property. We can even give you suggestions on moving companies and title companies. And in a minute, we'll get to our whole slew of preferred contractors, from electricians to plumbers to handymen, roofers, you name it. When you've been in business for almost 30 years, like I have, you can develop a really great trusted vendor list of people that you know and have taken great care of your clients. So I'm happy to help you out with that as well. We help you find available homes that might be a good fit for you. We like to sit down with you and find out what exactly it is that you're looking for. And if you aren't here locally in Tulsa, no problem. We can do this virtually. We can do it over the phone, or we could do a Zoom. But we just find out, how many bedrooms do you need? Are there specific school districts that you want to stay in or stay out of? What's our price range? And if you're not really sure what your price range is, we'll ask you what your comfortable monthly mortgage payment is. And then we'll work the numbers backwards and tell you how much that equates to as far as what you can spend to buy a home. We'll tour the homes with you and point out potential red flags and defects. When we're touring homes, especially if it's an older home, we're really looking at defects that you could inherit with the property. That's going to be your roof. That's going to be any structural repairs. That's going to be any electrical or plumbing defects or upgrades. It's going to be your water tank, and it's going to be your heat and air system, termites, or any type of wood destroying organisms. So as we're looking at home, buyers are really getting into the aesthetics of the house and the upgrades and the floor plan, and trying to see if they can picture their family living in the property. And as you're walking through the home and doing that, just know that we're nerding out on these other 7 or 8 things. And then we'll give you a summary at the end and tell you how the house grades. And we give it an A through F scale. If you're not here locally, no worries. We have a YouTube channel, and what we do is we shoot virtual tours. It's a narrated walkthrough tour. We're going to hit the highlights of those 7 or 8 items, upload it to our YouTube channel, then send you a private link. Advise you on what a good offer would be to help you win the house. This is important. You could spin your wheels. If you're just offering what the seller's asking price is, you could be spinning your wheels and never get a property. Because the reality is, on average, houses are selling for more than what the sellers are asking. That's on average. And it's not just about price, it's also about the rest of the terms. There's some other things that we can do to be more competitive and make our offer stand out. And we'll get to that a little further on. Negotiate your offer with the listing agent on your behalf. Like I said, I sell about 100 homes a year. I've got the negotiations down. I've got a great reputation here in town of I play well with others in the sandbox. I'm stern to support my clients, but I also work really well with the other agent. Once you've won the bid on the house, make sure that you don't miss any important deadlines. That's super important. We actually have a transaction coordinator, Mark, right here. Mark's job is to dot all the I's and cross the T's and make sure we're not missing any important dates once you go under contract. Attend the inspections on your behalf and make notes of any defects or issues. A lot of times our buyers are not able to attend the inspections. It's about like a 3 or 4 hour process. It's very lengthy. And if you don't live here, or if you work a 9 to 5, because that's when inspections happen, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, a lot of times our buyers can't make it. But no worries, someone from our team will be there present. They'll take copious notes. And our inspectors, especially if you use one that we recommend, they do a phenomenal job at following up the next day with a very detailed inspection report, complete with photos and videos. So you'll feel like you were there for the entire 4 hours, even if you weren't able to get there. We assist you in writing up your TRR, that's your repair list for the seller. And we negotiate this on your behalf. So when you make an offer on a property in the state of Oklahoma and the seller accepts your offer, generally you will receive a 13-day inspection period. It's called investigations and inspections. During that 13 days, we want to compile as much information about the property as we can, including a home inspection that would tell us any defects. At the end of the inspection period, we're allowed to deliver to the seller a honey-do list. The formal name is TRR, treatments, repairs, and replacements, but it's basically a honey-do list where we say there's a leak in the kitchen sink, or we don't have adequate water pressure in the master shower head, or maybe there's a broken window, or something is wrong with the roof, or the heat and air system is not functioning properly, or the water tank is not functioning properly. But anyway, go through the inspection report, and we're looking for any material defects that affect the livability of the home. Little things like stain on the carpet. That's a cosmetic item. Discoloration in the paint. That's a cosmetic item. Generally, the seller will not agree to those types of things. But if we keep our TRR list to material defects that affect the livability of the property, then usually I can do a pretty good job negotiating to get those items paid for by the seller. Also, we coordinate communication between you, the seller, the listing agent, the title company, the inspectors, the lender, the home warranty company, the insurance company. I see that I left the surveyor out. The bottom line is that as your team, we're going to be the hub and the center communicating to everyone on your behalf. And then lastly, to ensure that the property is in the appropriate condition before closing, we'll do a re-inspection to make sure that the seller not only did all of the repairs that they had agreed to on the TRR, but that they did them in a good workmanship manner. And then we'll come back in one last time right before closing for our final walkthrough, just to make sure everything is still in good shape and that the seller didn't knock any holes in the walls as they were moving out, or take that refrigerator that was supposed to have been conveyed with the sale. Step 2, apply for a mortgage pre-qualification. So I talk a lot about the mortgage pre-qualification because this was my past life. I was a mortgage lender for many years before I moved over to the real estate side. It's important before you go too far into looking at homes to get your financial house in order. Visit with a strong local mortgage lender about your finances and about your credit. Your lender will ask you to complete a mortgage pre-qualification application online, addressing your employment history, your residential history, credit history. And based on this data and a credit check, your lender will be able to determine which loan programs that you're eligible for. Complete a mortgage application and consent to a credit check. Compile the necessary documents, including paycheck stubs, bank statements, and past tax returns, and then determine how much of a payment you're comfortable with. Don't forget that real estate taxes, which are due annually in December here in the Tulsa area, and your homeowner's insurance, which is due annually on your renewal date, on your home purchase renewal date. That is included in your mortgage payment. I know a lot of our clients will jump on Zillow and it says what the estimated house payment is, but what you don't realize is that that does not include your real estate taxes, nor your homeowner's insurance, nor your private mortgage insurance. And it also assumes a 20% down payment. The payment on Zillow is not going to be the full payment. Pros and cons of renting versus buying. Renting may be easier on your budget. That's actually not the case nowadays. I need to revise this document. Rent rates have gone through the roof lately. If you take the exact same home and you were to purchase it, even with a very low down payment loan, versus what your rent payment would be, your rent is actually higher. And that's the reason why we have so many out-of-state investors that are coming into Oklahoma and buying up our single family homes, because our rent rates are so high in relation to the price to purchase the homes. You do have more flexibility, however, for sudden moves. If you have the type of job that you may have to pick up and leave on a short notice, it's a lot easier to do that when you're just simply locked into a lease rather than mortgage. And then you have no hassle of home maintenance. Hey, I can't argue with that one. When you own a home, you will have home maintenance. You'll have items that break down or need to be maintained. That's just the way of life. Pros of buying may include tax benefits. That's for sure. Your mortgage interest as a write-off, for example. If you work from home and you own your home, you can write off a portion of your real estate taxes and your homeowner's insurance and your utilities and other items. It can be an equity building investment. My goodness, for 20 something years, we had a pretty consistent 3% a year appreciation, but the last 3 years, we've had double digit appreciation every year, which is crazy. So people who bought homes 1 and 2 and 3 years ago, they're selling now and cashing out. I've got a deal right now that's closing in about a week. She paid 174,000, I think, right at a year ago for this home, and she's selling it now for 250. And she didn't really do any. She did replace the heat and air system, but she didn't really do any work to it. 174 to 250. That's the reality of the Tulsa market right now. And then lastly, you can have total control over your living space. Paint the walls, redo this, redo that. It is your house. You can do what you want. You don't have a landlord. Number 3, research the loan programs. There's several different types of loans. A conventional loan is probably the most common. A lot of people think you have to have 20% down. You don't. You can get away with as little as 3% down. However, the mortgage insurance is kind of high on that 3% down program. So you could do a 5% down program and get a little cheaper mortgage insurance. There's a FHA loans, which will require just 3.5% down. So it's even a lower down payment. And then FHA loans are a little easier for first-time buyers, someone who doesn't have a super long or established credit history, someone whose credit scores are a little on the lower side, because you can get away with about a 640 credit score on an FHA loan. FHA can do some creative things. And they also will lend on mobile homes. VA loans, if you're a veteran, first of all, thank you for your service. Also, they're a great loan program. It's a no money down loan. There's no monthly mortgage insurance premium. If you're a disabled veteran, you don't even have to pay the funding fee, which is kind of costly. It can be financed into your loan, by the way. You don't have to pay it out of pocket. Interest rates are low. It's a really great loan program for our veterans. Rural development loans, it's also a zero down loan. And although you do have mortgage insurance, it's very small in relation to all the other types of options. You'd have to buy in a little further out of communities, Glenpool, Southern Sapulpa, north of Owasso, west of Sand Springs, out at about Keystone Lake, and then say Coweta and out. So you can't buy right in Tulsa or the immediate suburbs. You've got to get a little further out before you're eligible for a rural development loan, but it's a fantastic zero down loan as well. Section 184 loan, we have a huge Native American community here in Oklahoma. The Section 184 loan is an offshoot of the FHA loan. However, the down payment drops from 3.5% to 2.25%, and there's no mortgage insurance. It's a great loan. First-time homebuyer loans. So this is basically, it works in conjunction with the FHA loan. FHA requires a 3.5% down payment, but if you're a qualifying first-time homebuyer, you could possibly get that 3.5% down payment covered on your behalf. Finding the right house. Number 4, make a list of the things that you want to have in the house. Ask yourself, how many beds, how many baths, how much space do you need? Think about square footage. How big do you want the kitchen to be? Do you like an open concept feel? Do you like more of a separate room type feel? Do you need lots of closets and storage space? Do you need cabinet space? Do you need a big yard for your kids to play in, or is that just more to mow? So really think about what it is that you would like to have and let us know. The more details you give us about what you like and don't like, the easier it is for us to narrow down and only send you homes that we think you would really like. We don't want to waste your time sending you 100 homes and you only like 2 of them. So help us help you and share with us all of your likes and dislikes. All right, making an offer. First things first, it's important to know if you're in a buyer's market or if you're in a seller's market. Review the CMA. So a CMA, comparable market analysis. But basically, when you find a home that you're interested in, the first thing that we as your buyer's agents are going to do is we're going to run a search or a market analysis of the neighborhood. We're going to look for similar nearby homes that have sold within the past 6 months. And then we're going to tell you roughly what they sold for, and then kind of do an apples to oranges comparison to then derive at what we feel like the house is worth, the one that you're interested in. Once you know what the house is worth, it makes it easier to determine what you're going to offer. Decide which special request you'd like to ask the seller for: closing cost assistance, home warranty, fridge. And then based on the special request, determine a fair offer price and sign the paperwork. Our offers are all done electronically. Prepare to close. You do need to get a home inspection within the first 10 days. It's a well worth the money that is spent. And it alerts you to any defects with the property. Be sure to talk to your mortgage lender to understand all the costs that would be involved with the closing so that there's no surprises. Make sure to keep this money in your bank account until it's time for closing. Don't make any large cash deposits. Mortgage application is being processed. Some people think, hey, I'm putting money into the bank. That helps my qualifications. Well, not if they can't determine the source. So just try not to do any major changes while the mortgage application process. Closing on your home. This is just a little checklist. Make sure that your earnest money deposit is paid. Inspections completed. Again, we want to do that within our first 10 days. Repair list negotiated, that TRR repair list negotiated. Then the appraisal is completed. Then the lender will issue the final loan approval. Make sure you choose your homeowner's insurance company, and then we'll do the final walkthrough and the closing. The cost of buying a home, the earnest money deposit is generally about 1% of the sales price, rounded to the nearest 500s. And you only have 24 hours to pay that after the seller has accepted your offer. So if you're out of state, ask us for wiring instructions. You'll need to wire that because we won't have time for USPS to regular mail a check. Home inspections. Home inspections are very important when buying a home. If you wanted to go buy a car, would you forego test driving it? Of course not. A home inspection is the equivalent of a test drive of a home. We can connect you with our preferred home inspectors, which are down here. The home inspectors will come in and do a very thorough investigation of the property, roof, attic, crawl space if there is one, and everything in between. General inspections range anywhere from $300 to $900. Say a typical 2,000 square foot home is going to be about $400. A termite inspection we also highly recommend. Not only are they looking for wood rot, but they're looking for any types of wood destroying organisms. Termites are an issue in Tulsa or in Oklahoma in general. So they're looking for termites, carpenter ants, wood beetles, any type of wood destroying organism. If you're buying a rural property with a well, I think it's important to do a well water quality test. So make sure you have good, safe drinking water. And then also, if you're in a rural property, you generally will have septic tanks. So it's important to have that inspected. That ranges from $350 to $500. Sometimes, I hear people say it isn't a matter of if, it's when. You will have A, termite damage, and B, structural issues. Some homes, we will actually recommend that you get a structural engineer's inspection in addition to the general home inspection and the termite. Not always. It really just depends on what we see with the property when we're doing our showings. The general home inspector may see something that we as your agents don't see, and he may recommend after he does his inspection that you bring in a specialist, a structural engineer. But generally, we don't start with one of those unless there's something obvious that we see in the showing that has given us cause for concern. Appraisal. All homes that have a mortgage will require an appraisal. Your lender will order the appraisal. The cost will be somewhere between $700 and $1,000, and your lender will generally require that you pay that up front. Down payment. This is not due to be paid until the closing. However, the lender will need to see that you have the funds sitting in your bank account at least a week before closing. The down payment ranges anywhere from 0 to 20% and anywhere in between. Closing costs. Closing costs are the fees that are needed to close and get keys for your new home, such as lender fees, mortgage tax, title fees, escrow account deposits, appraisal fees, inspection fees, etc. And they range anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. A typical $200,000 home on a conventional loan, I'm going to say your closing costs are going to be roughly $6,500 to $7,000. General things to know, reasons why not to call the agent on the sign. Well, quite frankly, the agent is representing the seller. It's that agent's responsibility to represent the seller. If you went to court, would you use the other person's attorney? Of course not. You'd want your own experienced attorney working for you. And that's why you need a buyer's agent. Contingencies. We have two main contingencies that remain in place until we remove them for your safety. These contingencies keep your earnest money deposit safe while we complete each set. If any of the items below do occur, we can cancel and exit the contract immediately. And at this time, you'll be able to keep or get a refund of your deposit. The first one is the inspection contingencies. And again, we have 13 days from the time the seller accepts the offer to go through our inspections contingency. If there's anything that happens during that 13 days and we can't work out an agreement with the seller to continue, you can cancel the contract and get your deposit back. The second one is the loan contingency. If we run into an issue with financing before we close, and if you're not able to obtain the loan that you originally planned to, then we are able to cancel the contract as long as we do it before our deadline. And the deadline is different depending on what type of loan that you're getting. New construction, a lot of people just go straight to the builders. If you do, you're missing part of your negotiating powers. It's important to have a buyer's agent that is keeping the builders accountable, checking in with weekly updates. We go out and check every single one of our properties that are under construction on a weekly basis. We do it on Thursdays and take photos. We look for any issues. We were just at one the other day that it looks like a forklift had knocked a hole in the wall, and they haven't started putting brick on yet, but were they going to fix it before they put brick on? I don't know, but they're certainly going to do it now because we're there on a weekly basis and we can catch things and hold the builders accountable. Foreclosure and bank owned properties. We don't have a lot of foreclosures right now simply because our appreciation's been so high. It's easy to sell a home, but there are some foreclosures to be had. And there are special loan programs that you can not only buy a home, but you can finance repairs. We can walk you through that process. I'm not going to go into our reviews. We're proud of our reviews. That's why we have them, but I'll send you a digital version of this if you'd like to see it. Now for the important part, how to make your offer stand out. Nothing is more frustrating than finding the perfect home for you and then finding out that someone else thinks it's perfect home for them as well, right? The situation happens on a daily basis, unfortunately. But there's many different techniques that we can use to make your offer stand out and be as attractive as possible. Number one, offer over the asking price. That sounds obvious, but a lot of people think that if the seller is asking $215,000, then you just simply say, yes, I'll give you $215,000 and they should take it and you're the new owner. That's not the case. It seems to be two primary strategies for listing agents in this market. Number one is truly do the legwork to see what we think the house is worth and price it accordingly, maybe even push it 5 to 10% because of the market. And then the second one is price it low and let everyone just fall over themselves and bid against one another. So just because they priced it at 175, that doesn't mean they're going to get 175. They may get 250. They may be in strategy two, which is to price it low and let a ton of offers come in. So let us help you by running a comparable market analysis and determining what we think is a fair price. And then we also have a checklist to hang on to as we're going through the process so that you know where you're at in the stage. And then as promised, here's our recommended vendors of folks that we know, like, and trust that work with us and have worked with us for quite some time here in the Tulsa market. Again, I'm excited that you are considering buying a home. Very passionate about empowering people to make the right decision. So we really consider ourselves educators and teachers, and there's no silly questions. Ask anything and everything. We want you to be 100% educated and informed so that you can make a confident and competent decision. And you just let us know what we can do to help you do that better. Thanks.